All right, it's working this time. Just want to take the time to go through the paper, which I did say sometimes it helps people will watch their group and run their group and then write the paper about creating a group all in the same level. So you can use the same group all the way through with the same citations and things of that nature. When you run it, you know what you're talking about, and you get insight after you run the group. So that's what comes up as you run a lot of the groups. Um, as you can see, there is the last week on the books. We're at your first major assignment being the group assessment project. So for those of you that were doing it online, observing an AA meeting, it's make sure it's an open AA meeting. You put the name of the group, and then it says social work practice with groups requires knowledge and skills specific to the group modality. The group worker should be knowledgeable of the group dynamics and have a capacity to assess a group as a whole. This will permit the worker to assess individual member behavior within group context, intervene effectively on behalf of individuals, and intervene on behalf of the group as a whole. So major assignment 1, here's the objectives. I kept it open for those of you that still have to turn in. It will provide you an opportunity to apply knowledge you obtain from class discussion and the text on the subject of group dynamics and the actual process of assessing a group. In social work, this assignment will expose you to a social work group within the social work service community and permit you to observe how the leader of a social work group functions in actual sessions. And it allows you to practice the type of writing that is used in record keeping and social work practice. So, identify a group you'll observe. If you do the online AA meeting, just make sure it's open. Same with Al-Anon. Also, attend a single session and fill out the group assessment form, prepare a report that includes the group assessment form. And then when you send this back to me, here's what you fill out. It's on page 9 in the syllabus. So the name of the group, primary purpose of the group, name, credentials, and characteristics of the leader, setting, like which agency building, room size, maybe it's a Zoom room. Do you believe the setting contributed or detracted from the primary purpose of the group? Some people are saying Zoom does make it harder to connect. So going to an in-person open AA meeting is premier and better to do. So that's helpful. Also, communication patterns observed. So like, this is obviously from the book, like, did you see any changes of patterns during the course of the group? Maybe somebody talked about a death and it became somber, or like an overdose. What effect did that pattern have on your observed group? Group attractions. Did members want to be in the group? Maybe they were court ordered and you heard them talk about that. Was attraction high or low? Maybe it's still high as they want to get off probation. Maybe it's low as they don't care and they'd rather go to jail. Provide descriptive evidence that supports your claim. Did you feel positive about the group during the session you attended? What do you believe contributed to the attraction of the group? Things of that nature. Level of group cohesion, how strongly identified with the group were the members. Was attraction high or low? Give a description of evidence supporting your claim. Observed normative behaviors, so normative ideas straight from the book. Style of leadership, and I guess you could do a search on the internet for it too. What was the style of leadership? Provided descriptive evidence supporting your claim. Content relevancy, degree of structure versus process observed. Task maintenance functions observed, what tasks did they get through? Do they talk about how to stay sober? Describe how the leader managed intra-group development. estimated stage of the group development, group culture observed, and then other patterns. So these I am going to go ahead and do a search for you guys. If it lets me just do it from here, it does. Copy, shrink it down a little bit, and then actually let's search in YouTube. That will be nice. Paste. So they do go into more of like the group development and things of that nature. Sometimes it is team, because people see it as the team. I like sticking with the group. And interview questions for that. So
this is why I stopped using laundry pods. They waste water and pollute the environment with microplastics. Plastic jugs of laundry detergent are even worse. With nearly 90% water, these clunky jugs are a waste of plastic and space. Oh.
Interesting.
In today's video, we will look at technical stages of group development. Welcome back to the OT Minute. My name is Arno, and I'm a third-year occupational therapy student. Let's dive into Tuckman's 5 stages. These 5 stages are used in a variety of contexts by organizations, businesses, and healthcare professionals in order to help understand group dynamics and how groups develop in order to improve group performance and goal attainment. Tuckman suggests that a group needs to move through these phases in order to be a high-performance group. On a practical level, I think Tuckman stages has quite a few applications for OTs, but I'll highlight 2 specific applications that I hope helps to give us a sense of Tuckman stages' relevance to OT. First, it can be applied to the intervention groups that OTs might be facilitating. Understanding these group dynamics and development stages will help an OT who is leading these groups know what leadership style would be beneficial to the group depending on the stage that the group is in, because each stage in group development is going to have different leadership needs. Plus, understanding group development will help the therapist understand certain behaviors and needs of the individuals of the group. Certain behaviors or circumstances serve specific group needs or group functions. And therefore, knowing this will help take away some of the mystery or some of the stress of these behaviors within the group, so the therapist can be more confident in how they lead and how they facilitate the group. The second application of Tuckman stages of group development that I think is worth noting is that as healthcare professionals, OTs are constantly working in groups, whether it's with other OTs or with a whole mix of other disciplines. Whenever an OT is part of an informal or formal established group, group dynamics are always going to be at play in one way or another. By knowing these stages, an OT can help support or lead healthy and effective group development. If we want to be part of high performance teams, we need to play an active part in fostering that. Now let's go through Tuckman stages. I'll explain the gist of them first, and then we can run through a simple example that I hope will make this more concrete. The first stage of Tuckman stages of development is the forming stage. In this stage, Tuckman proposes that a group is still getting oriented and figuring out what is the task of the group and how do they want to accomplish or tackle their goals. Since everyone is still new to the group, everyone tends to be amiable and nice to each other. The group generally functions mostly as individuals. There's no cohesive sense of team yet. At this stage, the group is still depending on the leader to guide the process. Therefore, at this stage, they may benefit from a more directive or more hands-on facilitative leadership style to really get things rolling. The second stage is called the storming stage. This is when the gloves kind of come off and people start rubbing each other the wrong way. This causes an increase in conflict between group members. The group members may be conflicting about a range of different things, including the task of the group, what's their goals, how they want to accomplish these goals, and just other functions of the group. Group members can also be challenging whether the leader really knows what they're doing or if they're the right fit for leading the group in the right direction. Naturally, as the occupational therapist leading a group at this stage, building trust with group members is going to be critical. The third stage is the norming stage. This is when finally the storming or the conflict starts to decrease and group members are beginning to build trust between each other and the leader, and they're accepting and appreciating one another's strengths and differences. At this stage, the group is really focused on keeping the status quo, and group members avoid conflict and disagreement. This means preserving harmony and a sense of normalcy. It's going to be really important for group members at this stage. At the norming stage, the leader is also recognized by the team, and their leadership is not under the same type of scrutiny as before. Next is the fourth stage, which is called the performing stage. Once the group members are trusting each other and they feel a sense of belonging, the group can really hit the ground running. At this stage, the group is operating efficiently and effectively and is achieving their goals. People can shift into and out of different group roles to meet the needs of the group. Probably the most important thing is that in this stage, group members can have conflict and disagreement and they can work it out. This means that there's enough trust amongst the group members that the relationships and their group performance is not at risk when conflict comes around. So they're willing to risk a little bit more. This allows them to move quickly past conflict and to produce more creative ideas that are collaborative in order to successfully and efficiently accomplish the task of the group. They can do this because relationships between the group members are solid and cohesive. They see themselves as a team, functioning as a team, and instead of individuals who just happen to be together to accomplish a goal. This means leadership needs has also shifted, and a more collaborative and empowering approach to supporting the team is better suited because group members can now function more autonomously. The fifth stage in Tuckman's group formation theory is the stage of a journey. This is when the project or group is finished and has accomplished what they set out to do, or some other circumstance brings the group to an end. Depending on the emotional and relational connection of the group, this can feel like a significant loss for group members, especially if this group has been going on for an extended period of time. Therefore, this can be kind of a mourning stage for group members. It is important for the leader to acknowledge the accomplishments of the groups and the unique and important contributions of team members in helping to achieve the goals of the group. This can help give a sense of closure to group members. If you like this video or find it valuable and helpful so far, please consider giving it a thumbs up. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop your answer down in the comment section below and answer our OT question for the day. What's your favorite thing about working in groups or leading groups? All right, let's apply these stages to a simple example so we can think about what these might look like in practice. As an example, let's consider an occupation-based group in a community setting focused on providing fall prevention interventions for seniors and how they may go through these group development stages. During the forming stage, when the group first starts to meet at the community center, everyone is trying to figure out what's expected from the group. Some individuals may know each other while others may not. Some may not even want to be there because they were brought there by a concerned family member. People see themselves as individuals and there's no unified group identity yet. Since the group is just starting, the therapist would be wise to probably take a more directive or hands-on facilitative role to leading the group in order to clarify the purpose of the group, to outline the group expectations and guidelines. For example, they may want to emphasize the need for respecting others and simple things like how to raise concerns and questions as part of establishing the norms and expectations of the group. As the group starts doing the tasks or activities together, they will probably move into the storming phase. During the storming phase, some group members might be talking over others, disrespecting each other, or disagreeing, which can raise frustration and conflict within the group. Others may be completely checked out, not putting forth the same kind of effort as others because they don't like the activity or they don't really like the leader, which can also be frustrating to other group members who may feel disrespected or discouraged by this behavior. For the sake of this example, we'll say a group member or two may also be pushing back on the idea of occupation-based interventions, such as Tai Chi or yoga, because they think that maybe exercises, road exercises, is all that they need to be doing. Therefore, they may challenge the therapist's leadership and competency because maybe there's not really a buy-in into the activities of the group. These types of conflicts offer obviously a great challenge, but also a great opportunity for group members and the therapist. During this stage, the therapist will need to reaffirm the group's purpose, the rules, the guidelines, and those types of things in order to minimize conflict or facilitate productive conflict that leads to resolution and to building trust. The Therapists may also want to reconsider some things and adjust the group guidelines or procedures that maybe just aren't working at this point. The therapist might also need to help facilitate interpersonal conflict resolution in order to help people feel engaged and feel valued and to move towards the next stage. For example, with the group members who want to do rote exercise, educating them on the research related to fall prevention and occupation-based interventions may prove to be helpful in helping them have more buy-in, or the therapist may want to change up the activities to better reflect the group members' interest. So if there's activities that maybe they would be more interested in or have a greater buy-in, then you could do those and just make sure obviously it's towards the group goal, which is fall prevention. Once conflicts are resolved, trust begins to increase between group members, and then the group is starting to move into the norming stage. The therapist may notice people being nicer to one another and just avoiding certain triggered topics that they maybe were engaging in the storming phase. People will have a clearer sense of what it means to be part of the group, and they will have bought into the goal of the group. Also, at this point, the group will know and follow the guidelines and goals for the group, and so you will start to see some of those behaviors that were detracting maybe in the beginning or during the storming phase, such as speaking over one another. You'll see those types of behaviors decrease significantly. During the norming phase, people's relationships are strengthening because they're starting to taste the beginning of a unified group identity. However, relationships are still not really strong enough for people to fully engage emotionally or to risk conflict in fear of losing relationships. Everyone is mostly concerned about maintaining harmony and the status quo. Therefore, the group really isn't performing at its optimal performance yet. However, as the fall prevention group progresses, the group will hopefully enter the performing stage. This is when the group has matured and have all aligned themselves behind the goal of the group and the guidelines of the group. They've bought into what the group is all about. They love doing the therapeutic, occupation-based activities. They're engaged. They're showing up during their therapy times. Everyone's respecting each other. They have more candid conversations and rapport. They share differences of opinion and they work it out. Since group members know each other, they've navigated challenges and conflicts together. They've seen progress. They have the shared memories of doing activities together or overcoming challenges. They have a stronger sense of relational connection and a strong sense of unity. This means they can voice more out-of-the-box ideas, express themselves more fully, they can disagree or conflict with others without fearing the loss of relationships and the friendships that they've built. The group really starts to take shape and group members know the expectations, so the therapist can take more of an advisory role instead of a directive or facilitative role. For example, the therapist may now empower the group members to lead parts of the occupation-based groups or to give opportunities to group members to choose the activities for the day. So for the sake of our example, let's say this is a 6-month grant funded group. In the last couple of meetings, the group may enter the adjourning phase. At this point, the group members might start to feel sadness or a sense of loss coming because they know the group is ending. A therapist who is aware of this important phase will intentionally want to honor the hard work of the group, including the progress that they've made. They may want to organize a special occupation-based activity that sets the tone for closure for this group, such as a mural, allowing everybody to paint parts of this mural together, to do it as a group. It gives them the opportunity to express themselves while still working on the group goal, which again is fall prevention, to maintain and improve occupational performance for group members. What I love about Tuckman Stages is that it applies to all sorts of groups. I've seen this dynamic as an employee, as an employer, as a volunteer, as a student. This also applies to all sizes of groups. Each group may go through these phases differently due to the unique mix of individuals, the task at hand, and the circumstances, but in the end, you can see these stages in one form or another. Also keep in mind that not all groups go through all the stages. A group may not make it through the storming phase or may never truly get to the performing stage because of conflict or some other circumstances. I also love how Tuckman Stages of group development demonstrates the importance of conflict in group formation process. Most group development models really center around this idea of conflict and whether or not a team or group is able to resolve their conflict. For additional professional growth related to group dynamics and particularly team dynamics, I would highly recommend and encourage you to look into Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Both Tuckman and Lencioni have shaped my understanding and thinking of groups, teams, leadership.
All right, so as you can see, he had some good suggestions about when you run your group, what it will look like, how you'll film your group and whatnot. So after writing the piece about group culture observed and based on your observations of this group session, evaluate how well you believe the group accomplishes its primary purpose and then support your claim. So that assignment is opened up still because I know there's a few more of you to turn it in. And then we have the group proposal project final paper. Internship has really taken a toll on me as far as self-care. I feel myself going through burnout. It's definitely important to do the self-care. And where is the internship? I'm trying to think. Is it something for school or is it school related? I know Nikita was talking about doing some of the summer ones. But definitely make sure to do that self-care. So University of Toledo, is it with kids? I'm trying to remember. So summer upward bound. Oh yeah, okay. So definitely can be challenging in that sense. I was just talking to Nikita asking if she does do some of the summer groups. So this is like a paid internship or practicum, and definitely be sure to, we have some of them here at Central State also. So sometimes they are the kids that have gotten in trouble or might have a behavior disorder. So it's a good, I remember doing one for my own in the middle of college that was with kids that had severe behavioral disorders. And it was important to get that self-care. So like if it's a weekend or yeah, it is hard. Like, I mean, if you saw the report in the news, there actually were 5 or 6 teenagers that beat an old man who was 71 with like a orange cone. And you know, sometimes it's sad. It's like, hopefully they're getting the right parental supervision. Hopefully they're getting what they need. And it's a good learning experience. Some like for me, it taught me what I didn't want to do in social work. I know that sounds crazy and terrible, or you come back to it when you're more mentally and self-prepared, maybe have a whole lot less on the plate and things of that nature. And it could, so the one, I will say there's one bonus of it, and if you need to take an incomplete, which gives you 6 weeks into the fall semester to write the paper, that's okay. Yeah, it does seem, yeah, they're almost getting that lack of affection home because there could be a trauma and a need for trauma therapy. Um, and it might help while writing this. I know it sounds weird, but after I actually go and practice, use your experience, for this final paper, the conceptualization paper. Like the group, you said you had done lack of affection at home is what you had assessed with the children during the group recording. And maybe part of the girls circle that you would do this, but it'll help you like write the example we gave in here is proposal for a support group for elderly women experiencing grief over significant loss. Then you do the abstract and overall scope. So like introduces the client population so you can talk about the urban population, inner city. There's tons of research and articles that you can cite on that. Trauma-informed care was used with them. So problem, identify significant psychosocial concerns, themes of the client population, and the type of group selected for the proposal. Draws on the attention and the overall purpose of the group and briefly mentions how the group will accomplish its purpose. Overall scope. It's a few paragraphs, but like based on social work literature, which you'll see a lot with inner city populations, how people are affected by the primary problem, what are their financial and personal costs of the primary problem, which could be like kids that don't finish school and then don't get a job. Sometimes there is crime related because they do have to steal things to support themselves, or they're on government assistance. So you have to pay for either food stamps or other stuff. So there is a significant cost, and there's tons of references there. Psychosocial concerns or themes. So this is more paragraphs. Broad range of the psychosocial concerns of the primary problem. The concerns or themes you discuss in the scope of social work intervention, as opposed to the focus of other professions, pertain to clients who actually come to your group, support contentions. And again, there's tons of research on Upward Bound and the programs they do, maybe also the Girls Circle, maybe trauma groups. Then 2 paragraphs on themes related to the problem. And I know they give tons of good themes in Girls Circle. Yes, it can be, and definitely use the citations. So look up the articles they've written about Upward Bound, maybe use the citation of Girls Circle, which has different themes, talking about the different weeks that they have in that. Girl fights her girlfriends, showing affection, things of that nature. So also past group treatment interventions and articles of group treatment intervention that have been used. So like Upward Bound still is shown to be good because they've used it for a long time, like many, many years. Then the last piece is like benefits of the group work. Hopefully you hear some of the kids giving you a thanks. A lot of times you don't, and that wears on you because you're exhausted and wish that they did thank you. Then the type of group proposed for this proposal, it could be one of the weeks in Girls Circle, or you could propose Girls Circle and just cite it, or something else you find in the literature on the internet. There's plenty. And then overall purpose, common goals, and the different parts in the book, you can find those. And then how you'll like implement the group. So if you led one, what it looks like, ideal membership composition. Hopefully they're not giving you more than 12 to 25 students, because that is, most groups are better when they're smaller, but sometimes they're overloading you. And then ideal leadership, plan for membership, duration of the group, and cool. Okay. So yeah, there's lots of different planned activities for the group. Again, it can be the stuff from Girls Circle, and there's some good theories on that. And then plans for how you finish the group. What's cool about Outward Bound is it does finish with the summer, and they have to go back to school or get a job. So 12 weeks max, and then evaluating the effectiveness of the group. So it could be 8 to 15 pages. I know that seems like a big range. If you really think you're short on things you're writing, you can do it in Courier New font. It still would be like 12 font, APA style, which is double spaced. And that would make a 5 or 6 page paper into an 8-page paper. So Courier New font makes it bigger. It's easier for me to read. Most teachers won't accept it, but I have dyslexia, so I'm okay with accepting that. So hopefully that was a good description and you guys got all you need there. And it's okay if you do need a incomplete or extra time, just let me know. It shows up as an I for like 6 weeks into the next semester, and if you turn in your work before September, the I changes to a grade, so that would be fine. Oh, Courier New, okay. Let's see here. Courier New. I don't know why. Oh, it starts with a C, not Courier New, but Courier New. And some people like that font. Most teachers call it lazy, but I actually like it. And it's easier to read. It's almost like a typewriter. So it's like the same length on each word, an L and an O and an I. Right. Income. Oh, incomplete. Okay, I thought you said income-based stuff. Incomplete is fine. And people do it, and just make sure you have it done by September. And that's, yeah, I guess it does give you those 6 weeks. I think it's even 6 weeks into the semester. But do the self-care. If you need anything else, just let me know. I will start working on all that stuff right now. So see you live again on Thursday.